Hi guys, a warm, first of all, a warm welcome to all the kids here today, and a special thank you to all the parents who've taken their time out to bring their kids to this really special place for this really special event. Today we'll be exploring and breaking stereotypes as we delve into the world of kids these days, and that's going to be our topic for today. Um, First of all, I would like to thank our panelists who are here today. We have Supriya Joshi, who's standing right there. And we have Ekta Bhandari, who's here. And we have Dr. Sanjana Kanamarlapudi. For those who are visiting MuSo for the very first time, I'd like to say that this is a very, very exciting place. It's a perfect place. You could have come on Saturday afternoon with your kids to have a perfect dream day. A couple of weeks ago, we were blessed and we are very grateful for MuSo to have invited us to sort of look at this place in the opening. And there were a whole lot of kids here, the most excited people in any given room were the adults of our team. So I guarantee that you guys are going to have a lot of fun over here. So please explore the space after this event if you do get the chance. Now, let's kick off our exploration into the world of kids these days with a little interactive session. Parents in the room, this one's for you. Raise your hands if you've ever spoken about aajkal ke bacche. You know, kids these days. Things like kids are always on social media, they spend too much time on the internet, they have no patience at all. Anyone? You're a good parent. Now, for the kids in the room, I see only a few here, but they're here. Have you heard all these comments and do you find them so very unfair all the time? Oh, there's one kid who finds it unfair. I'm guessing these kids are grown up with not my code. Anyway, let's pause and reflect. Are these perceptions truly grounded in reality, or are these just a reflection of generation gaps? And who to better guide us than a 14-year-old young author, Sanjana Kanamarlapudi. At just the age of 14, she has published over 9 books. This is her 9th book. Sanjana is from Singapore, and her Indian roots have sparked this creativity within her, which is why she written her very first novella, a 330%, making the impossible possible. In this book, there is a little girl called Kalki who gets a really fascinating grade on one of her papers. But she grew up in a small town, so she's tied down by her mother, supported by her father. But let's see how far she goes. And now, let's call upon our stage our esteemed panelists. First we have Supriya Joshi. I'm sure you guys know her. You guys must have seen her all over social media. She is a stand-up comic and goes by the Instagram handle Suparwoman. Did I pronounce that right? Yes. She's known for her fearless commentary and witty humor. She tackles issues related to gender with a humorous touch, making her relatable to many. You may have seen her on shows like Man Up and Queens vs. Kings, or even Comic Star. She is a champion of gender equality and is constantly breaking barriers and challenging social norms. Thank you, Supriya, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Dr. Sanjana Kanamarlapudi, a pioneering pediatrician and lactation consultant with over 21 years of experience. She has transformed the field of lactation consulting in India, helping over 10,000 mothers initiate breastfeeding with the crucial first hour after birth. She's also supported over 200 mothers who deliver to surrogacy with induced lactation. Her impact extends internationally, representing India at conferences and collaborating with experts worldwide. Thank you, Dr. Singh. And finally, can we have in the front Ekta Bhandari, who's the founder of Read It Up, a global reading community. She is an MBA alumni and gold medalist in engineering. As vice president at a leading Indian consulting firm, she passionately enjoys the joy of reading. Ekta's short stories and poems have featured in renowned publications through online and offline initiatives, including talks and festival engagements, Ekta aims to unite readers, writers, and artists worldwide in a community that has over 60,000 members globally. Now I would like to hand over the rest of the session to Sanjana, who's going to be moderating the panel discussion.
Okay, can everyone hear? Okay. So, for the kids in this room, raise your hand if you've ever heard, when I was your age. Okay, so let me just warn you guys, it's never gonna stop. Can confirm. Okay? Adults, parents, teachers, etc. have always had some problem or the other with kids these days and how they act. So I'm here today to defend the actions of our generation and also give us a reality check. Okay, so this is for the audience. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you think kids these days?
They're all right. The kids are all right.
Okay, so that's right. It is social media, devices. But guess what? Can we all agree that adults are as addicted to technology as we are?
Yes.
Okay. So, now for you guys, what do you think are the positives and negatives of kids being on social media?
I see this every single day in my practice when I see babies or children, and the mother comes and tells me that doctor, देखो ना पूरा दिन ये TV, yeah, पूरा दिन my child is on the TV or is on the internet or on social media or a tab. So let me tell you, everything in life is a double-edged sword, right? Everything. So I think what children really at times do is go on the extreme end, and they kind of do not realize how much it is too much. So I think there are advantages of social media also, but at the same time, the moment that thin boundaries crossed, it reaches that stage where it is going to damage somewhere the child's behavior. So yes, there are positives and negatives both, and we are going to go higher ahead and discuss that.
According to me, positives and negatives of children being on social media, positives is we are literally opening up the whole world to, it's in your palm of your hands and you learn so many things, and that is also the flip side. You can learn so many things that you shouldn't learn. So, yeah, that's
Thank you, first of all, thank you, Sanjana, for having me here. And yeah, I think it's a very important question if you really look at it, from the perspective of parents, from the perspective of kids, because though we always talk about a lot of negatives, and the world is open, there's a lot of content that is available which should not be accessed, at certain ages, etc. But I think, accessing social media, doing it in a proper manner can actually enhance a lot of things. It can reinvent your cognitive behavior. It can also help you in solving a lot of problems. When you get into a lot of interactive games, etc., you also kind of enhance your critical reasoning, critical thinking, your problem solving skills. And there are a lot of games which help you plan strategy. So you get involved into a lot of such games also. There are a lot of things which are available for kids, which are like for adaptive learning. So not every kid, we always talk about that. Every kid is not going to be number one or is going to be genius. There is no rat race. So these adaptive, learning methods have kind of inculcated the AI programs in such a way that kids, the game or the program adapts themselves with the behavior of the kid or the learning skill of the kid. And I think in that way it is also going to add a lot of positives. So though there are many challenges, but I think we all are addicted now. So as long as we are not addicted and using it properly, I think that makes a lot of difference.
Okay, so Dr. Zina, you're a pediatrician, so you see a lot of kids on a daily basis. Have you noticed if there are any ways that devices might affect a child's development?
So yes, I agree that the too much of screen time or too much of media does explore or does affect the child's mental development. We especially saw this during the COVID period when there was a lot of lockdown and children were home indoors, not going to school. They had online schooling, plus they used to be hooked onto the TV. I had this one family, which I would love to mention here. The child was 2 when COVID started, and obviously the father was very picky and was like, my child is not get out of the hospital, I don't want my child to get COVID. And the child was only on screen for maybe 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And at 4 years, when they came back to me, the child could not speak one single word. The child did not recognize his own parents. The child did not know where the child lives. Okay, when I asked this question to a 4-year-old, at least a 4-year-old should be able to tell me his own name. So Rudra could not speak his own name. And then about we realized that this child is heading towards autism, and he also had traits of ADHD. So yes, there are a lot of developmental problems which I now see on a daily basis, where children are getting mentally affected. I'm talking of especially the smaller children, because I see a lot of smaller children here. Because that is the time when the brain needs to explore, the brain needs to develop. So I would go more in favor of the screen time given to smaller children does affect the brain development, does affect the thinking, does affect creativity, and also affects what that child is. Like I have this one more child, there's a cartoon character who wears shoe in his hand. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the name. I don't know if anybody knows. There's a big shoe a cartoon character wears, like a big flip-flop standard in his hand. And this one boy, okay, he used to come every day, whenever he used to come to the clinic, he used to be very bad. And the mom said that he wears that and sleeps because he thinks he is that character and he lives in that character. So too much of screen time makes the child think that that world is reality for him. This world is not reality for me. And that is where I think probably the understanding of the child as to where I am living or what I am supposed to do gets completely blurred and foggy. So I am not much in favor of this thing, because mentally and developmentally it does affect the child, but there is too much of screen time offered at a very young age.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting to me. So, for Supriya, as a content creator, are there ways that social media has benefited you that you think could positively affect a child's life?
Yeah, just as I mentioned before, you're able to connect to a lot of people from all over the world, all age groups, and I try to think that I'm in a positive way. If I had internet and social media as a child, I think positively it would have been really nice, because I would have made friends and discussed my issues with them. But that's such a simple way of thinking. The internet back then was very different than the internet it is today. The negatively, I would say social media, I don't know, I feel like it has become a little, it's a little negative space, just purely social media. The internet is different. Social media has just become a little negative, and there have been some very severe repercussions to children, young children, because of the constant bullying and stuff that happens. So I think as far as the child and the parent, they need to be communicative enough to each other to know that something is not right on the internet, and when can I stop using it completely. So, but on the flip side, the good thing is you are able to reach out, and maybe if a young person is watching you and may think that, all these negative feelings that I have about myself, another older person is talking about it, and they seem happy, so maybe I can live happily as well.
Okay, thank you. So, Ekta, what do you think about technology and how it has impacted the reading habits among children nowadays? And how could one use technology to develop more reading habits among them?
Okay, so I think that as far as reading habits are concerned, people are kind of going away from reading. So technology is definitely a binder. Of course, there are a lot of positives to it, because like for example, I'll take an example from the book that you have written. The protagonist in the book, she's an avid voracious reader. She loves reading, but she does not have an access to resources because she's from a very small town. So if you talk about people who are living in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or are not able to afford books, very often, for them it's a resource, which is kind of available all the time, and they can go and they can find out, they can read it. What I have also seen is that kids have started enjoying reading online a lot of content, because it is first of all easier for them. Second, it is also accessible. So, technology is definitely playing a lot of role in that. And in terms of enhancing the reading habits, I think that is a approach that parents need to take from the very beginning of a child's life. So if parents are readers, kids will automatically want to do that. Setting up a time, setting up a discipline. Also, see, you cannot stop this from happening. Can you stop it? No, you can't. So we have to find alternate ways in which we can kind of enhance or get the positives out of it. So I think yes, technology is definitely a barrier.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that, especially with now Kindle.
Yeah.
Kindle. I published first on Kindle actually on my own, so I'm actually quite grateful for Kindle being there in today's world because, I was 8 when I first published. So how many people are willing to sign an 8-year-old in a publishing label?
And it's a difficult task.
It is. So yeah, I think it's definitely been something that's beneficial for me, and I'm sure a lot of my classmates also have Kindles and they read on Kindles. And yeah, it's just made
It would have been for Kalki.
Yeah, it would have been very valuable for her. So if you're asking me, I'm guilty of being addicted to technology. I have an Instagram account, I'm on YouTube all the time, and it does eat up a lot of mind space and time. And I know the issues that social media can create in a child's life, such as insecurity, cyberbullying, etc. All of which can be seen as negative, I guess. But however, there are many positives to technology as well. Information and knowledge is easily available to most of us. It is a necessity for school life and work life. So restricting children from technology will also not prepare them for where the world is going. Additionally, access to technology helps encourage awareness of world issues. For example, I used to play Roblox as a kid. Anyone here play? Or is that something that okay, I guess it's a Gen Z thing. That's how I found out about the BLF movement in 2020 because of chat logs between players. I remember any game I logged on to, it's like Black Lives Matter in the chat, and I thought, oh, what is this? So then that sparks curiosity as well. Another topic that is talked about more thanks to the internet is mental health and mental illness. So let's talk about that. Supriya, social media didn't exist when you were a child, but these days kids are all over it. There's a global audience, lots of pressure to conform to norms, get likes, etc. What advice would you give to children who face bullying in today's online world?
My first advice is put your comments off. Like this, you don't need this. I sometimes do myself. So comments should, if you haven't been on social media as a child or younger person, if you don't want to read the comments, make things that will make you happy, and that will take you far. The reason why you're on social media primarily is to share snippets of your life and what you like to do. So with negative comments coming in, bullying coming in, that can hinder the way you like to do things. Especially as a child, I think you shouldn't limit yourself to anything. There should be no limits that exist. The world is your oyster. I think adults can also learn from this. The world is your oyster. 2024 resolution. So children, keep your comments off. Please speak to your parents often about if some things are going wrong on your page or if someone is bullying you. Please keep your parents aware and just ignore that as much as you can, and also know that you are worth more than a single thing.
Okay, that's very nice. I'm also a content creator, right? So some advice that I think I would give is listen to the age restrictions on social media. The age restrictions on TikTok, which is banned here, but I live in Singapore, it's not banned there. 13. Instagram as well, I believe, is also 13. So I think we should listen to those because those exist for a reason. Like, there's a reason why children under 13 are not permitted access to Instagram and other social medias. And also, for anyone who's still a minor who isn't aiming to make content creation for the public, please do set your account to private. That is an option, and that way you can control who follows you and who can see your content. So I think that's definitely something that I would suggest as well. Dr. Zeno? you're a pediatrician, you know that. Have you ever encountered young patients who are aware of certain like mental illnesses? What do you think are some of the positives and negatives of children being aware of mental health and mental illness? We're talking more about teenagers than young kids.
I would definitely say, Sanjana, that today's teenagers are much more well-read than how probably we as teenagers were. Right? I'm almost entering my 5th decade of my life now, so probably I think my daughter, who's now 23, definitely tells me that, Mama, I think you're getting old. And I look at her and I'm like, I'm getting old. And she's like, no, but my thought process probably doesn't resonate very well with what it resonates with them. So I completely understand what you're saying. Now, if at all a teenager, as Sophia very correctly said, it's a ocean of information. The world is a playground, go play. But in that, what happens at times is that too much of information and too much of knowledge does go in a flip side to work on the mind in a negative way. So a child probably who's not into depression, like I have teenagers who come and tell me, I think I'm going into depression, and I'm like, okay, are you the doctor to diagnose it? My mind obviously, are you the doctor to diagnose it that you're going into depression? But probably what is happening is, now what are the symptoms of depression? Suppose if you just Google, you will see stupid symptoms like I feel low in mood, I don't feel like dressing up, I don't feel like eating food, I don't get sleep, blah blah blah. Now, those kind of symptoms, all of us go through at some point in our life, don't we? But does that mean that we all are going into depression? No. But then teenagers kind of relate to a lot of symptoms and they start overthinking on that. And I have had teenagers who go into anxiety, who go into panic attacks. So awareness of mental information is a good thing we all should be aware of. Every individual should know it. But to start connecting dots and thinking that you yourself have it is something which probably teenagers cannot understand where is what. And that can lead to a very, very bad value of mental illness in the child, even though the child is not having. So I firmly believe that everything starts here, in your minds, in our minds. Whatever we are, you all decided to be here today with Sanjana, and that's why we are here, right? We decided in our mind we want to be here. So teenagers definitely get carried away. So I feel that there is this boundary which probably all teenagers and all parents need to tell their teenagers that this one is too much, or probably good information needs to be imbibed inside, but that does not need to be implemented in your life in a way that it does not negatively affect your mind and affect your social activities.
Thank you, I definitely agree. My mom and dad are staring at me right now, so I'm going to admit this. I'm also guilty of self-diagnosing at times. And I've seen it in I feel like at least half of my classmates have said at some point, it's almost like some mental illness terms are becoming slang. Like, oh, I have anxiety, oh, I'm so depressed. So I feel like it's also making it lose its significance.
Absolutely.
Right? Because people genuinely struggle with it. So, yeah, I think that's something that should be thought about more. Ekta, what impacts can books have on the mental well-being of children?
So I think books are something that that can actually help people get out of loneliness, or when they're feeling sad, or when they're feeling that they have no one. And of course, for introverts, books have their own life, they have their own world, and also reading enhances your perspectives. So as much as you diversify your reading, as much as you read, go along, you learn about various cultures, you learn about various communities, you tend to make friends, you also find out what's happening in the world, what is real, what is not real, and that actually opens a lot of perspectives. And I think everybody should be a reader. I mean, everybody should read. It is absolutely, it's like breathing. It's that important. If you are a reader, you are, doing something good in life, because you are actually learning from around you, from the environment. You're learning narratives which you would have never known in your life. So I think reading actually helps people in getting out of a lot of things which they are feeling. Maybe, like the terms that we just talked about, I think they should not be used very casually, because they are, they are conditions that people are facing, and they are for real. So like Dr. Zinal was talking about it, that it is very often that people say that, and I can be guilty of myself, self-diagnosing myself so many times about, things. But I think, reading actually helps you get out of all of this. If not get out, kind of get into a better state of mind. And it also helps you self-learn. There's a lot of self-awareness that you get in. So I think reading is absolutely, very important. It also helps to enhance your cognitive skills. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the self-learning because actually that's seen in Kalki during the book.
Yes.
She is so advanced in terms of writing and literature, all because she's fascinated with books since a very young age, and that helps her get that insane score on the essay, right? So I think children should be aware of mental health and mental illness. We're talking teenagers, like young kids. Please don't think about this now. You have more fun things that you can think about, I'm sure. I've seen a lot of information of mental illness and mental health stress out people like my age, and it can lead to self-diagnosing. I've seen it in my classmates. I have done it myself. However, children should be aware of it when they reach their teenagers because say you have it, it's better to live knowing than to live not knowing. So, yeah.
Can I add something first? So I think in today's teenagers, and probably the teenagers who are in their early 20s right now, I'm talking about that generation, I think they have not seen any hardships in life. Okay? So we all, I think all the parents, most of the parents who are sitting here will agree with me that, I probably grew up in a 1 BHK house where my parents were struggling. When I was in my 6th standard, I had 2 pairs of clothes. Legit 2 pairs of clothes, the one which is dried outside or even back to me to wear. Okay? So I have seen that kind of hardship. So I think because somewhere we parents have given everything on a platter to our children don't know how to handle situations at time, and that is where probably they go too much thinking in a negative way that, oh my God, I'm so anxious, I'm getting into anxiety, I'm getting into a panic attack. They can't handle situations. So I think somewhere it is because everything is given to our children in a very, very ready-made manner.
So this is what I'm saying. Back in our day, people never ever stop. It's happening right now. So, okay. So another issue talked about a lot is climate change, the environmental crisis. I'm sure everyone here has heard about it. Okay. So I'm actually going to ask the audience a few questions for the kids. How many of you have learned something about saving the environment or climate change at school? Okay.
Everyone.
Okay, pretty much everyone. Now, for the adults in the room, how many of you learned about the climate crisis when you were in school? Okay. So 4 out of some 20 adults here. That's interesting to me. Okay. So can anyone, so for everyone, can anyone recall a young person who is a leading voice in the sustainability movement and the environmental crisis?
Greta Thunberg.
Yes. Okay, so at this point, this girl, Greta Thunberg, has become a part of my school's curriculum. I swear. You see videos of her all the time in school, and it's okay. So a young person, you're just gonna prove a point again, that young people can be a leading voice in large movements. Okay? So, what about you guys? You two said that you were taught about the climate crisis in school. Yeah. What exactly were you taught about, and to what extent?
So I think right now the way it has been taught that has changed a lot. But when we were in schools, I think it was more organic. Right, starting from the very beginning, how you have to be minimalistic, how you have to save your resources, how you don't have to do wastage, how you should not be wasting water, how you should be planting more trees, or how you should be saving the environment, how you should use dustbins. So pretty basic stuff, which is very important, which kind of adds up to the bigger changes that we're talking about today. How you should be environment friendly, how you should do a lot of things, lack of no use of plastic and all of that. So how recycling works. So I think those are the building blocks when you talk about coming to larger elements and talking about larger issues or what the world is facing today. So everybody talks about global warming, but I mean, are we really diving deep into it and understanding that we are kind of a part of it? I mean, in doing that. So, it all begins with the very, very small, small things, and I think that is what we were kind of taught. But there are specific lessons which were about pollution. So use public transport rather than, coming in with various vehicles. That helps you in conserving your fuel, your energy. I think those are the lessons.
Yeah. So see, we used to, as a student, I was always interested in science. So we used to have a lot of these science projects where we were talking about weathers and climates and how the changes in weathers can happen, how the rain happens, and how we can have the changes in the world. So I was very fascinated since Sanjana is writing a book about reading. I used to read a lot as a kid. So we used to kind of probably I would just a little bit different from the question what you said. And yes, we were not really taught too much in school, but we had a group of friends who used to read and discuss. So kind of it was our way of book club or book learning or whatever. We used to read together and discuss, and that is how we learned a lot.
Okay, thank you. Supriya, any thoughts?
I guess global warming wasn't a thing in my time.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you all a story. I am 6 years old, sitting in a classroom in the first grade, I think, and then suddenly we're learning recycling. Oh, the earth is getting warmer, and how this is all so bad for our future. As I grew older, it felt more and more like in elementary school that teachers were basically saying, look, our generation screwed up the environment, and now it's up to your generation to fix it. Good luck. Okay, so as a kid, it felt kind of frustrating to learn about it. It's like, why is this our problem? Didn't you guys do this?
Yeah.
So, but then as I grew older, I kind of realized, look, this is also encourages a lot of critical thinking in children, of being more aware that the world that we're living in is changing and not for the good, and we have to play a part in fixing it, right? And actually for this, I would like to thank MuSo, because I'm well aware that they have exhibits where children can learn and explore like climate crisis, climate change. I follow the Instagram. I see it all the time on the Instagram. So thank you for that. You're really doing a good job with that. Okay. So how do you guys believe young people could positively contribute to discussions about their generation and what challenges they hear from like older generations?
So one thing I think you'll really agree is that the younger generation thinks very fast, and which is very good. They really are avid thinkers, more than avid writers. Maybe sometimes one of the exception, but yeah, today's generation, children think a lot. A lot of critical thinking already imbibed into them. Like I have 2 years, 3 years, 5 years also questions. Why are we doing this? Or if they don't want to wear a particular dress, they will tell their parents that I'm sorry, I think I cannot wear something like that. And we as kids never had that thought process that we would ever go against our parents to tell them that I'm sorry, but I don't want to wear this. So anyways, coming to answer your question, what happens is that I think this thinking and the change which the younger generation wants to bring is a beautiful thing. Like as she said that we have the young generation who can lead. So they are wonderful leaders, they are wonderful thinkers, and they can implement also. So I really feel that they can be the new thing for changing a lot of things the way our world is heading to, and we should encourage them. We should really encourage them. That yes, that's why I think we all are here to encourage you all that that's how the world should go. Just by talking it doesn't happen, by doing it happens, and they do it.
We're not avid writers, we're avid typers. Thank you very much.
Yes, I will correct that.
Okay, so speaking of awareness, children are now seem to be aware of what overworking is. Okay? And that has led to a mindset of, I don't want to work all the time, this is too exhausting, my mind cannot physically tolerate this. Okay, so Ekta, what do you think about it? You multitask a lot, so do you feel overworked and how do you manage it?
So yeah, my mind also thinks like this a lot many times. But yeah, I think it's all about having clear priorities. So and also kind of loving what you do. So I have a full-time job, which is very demanding. I have a reading community, which is again very demanding because that is my interest, that's my passion. So, but I know that how I need to very clearly define my priorities, and because of that, I have my time, my discipline aligned to it. Apart from that, I think it is also important to have that kind of passion. So passion kind of makes you do things which you would not do otherwise. So if you are passionate, if you love what you're doing, and also some people are dynamic, just like that. So so yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. I don't think I have to overwork. I can take it more.
Okay. Okay. So Supriya, you're a stand-up comedian, you're an influencer, content creator, and now I can definitely say that as a child who grew up with YouTube, I definitely said I want to be a content creator when I grow up, and well, here I am running my own Instagram. Anyways, so as a kid, and I'm sure many other kids think the same way, they think your job is a lot of fun and it's a lot of play. So, what are some of the challenges that you face, like as a content creator? Because I'm sure it took a lot of hard work as well.
Yeah, it did. You have to you have to be very meticulous with your planning of your day, so that you know exactly what you're doing. And I'm just saying this because the whole of last week I spent playing video games. So don't do that, children. But I planned for it. Like it was in my diary that this week I will only play video games. So this is what it is. But this is where. I am here today because I did a lot of work to get here. So content creation, stand-up, writing is a job. It has different work hours from a regular job, but it's still a job. And you have to take it seriously so that you can someday play video games for a weekend.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Running Instagram is like keeping a schedule. I think that's the hardest part of content creation is sticking to schedule. I sometimes just am guilty of just not trying to. I just maybe forget, maybe too tired, maybe have no ideas, but I'm guilty of going off schedule sometimes. So that's definitely a challenge I face as well. Dr. Zeno, when you were studying, your area of practice was probably one of the most competitive study-wise. You studied at KAM College in Mumbai, which is one of India's top medical colleges. It's an understatement to say it took a lot of hard work and probably no time to play to get you where you are. I know a lot of people my age who want to be doctors, who want to be medical professionals, but are way too scared of the workload. Okay, so what advice do you have for someone who wants to go into a similar university?
I always feel that you have to be very determined and passionate about what you want to do in your life. So the first thing what I would want to tell kids of Sanjana's age who want to pursue medicine is that only take it if you are passionate about it. Okay, if you are not, if you just think that it is fascinating to have the DR in front of you, believe me, it's a tough thing to do and tough thing to live into it, right? It's like daily mental struggle and a lot of things where you're dealing with life and death. So be very sure as to whether you really want to be a doctor. Like my daughter, she saw me. She grew up seeing me as a doctor. She was very clear from the time she was in the standard that she wants to become a doctor. And today she's in her final year of MBBS and her exams are going on. And last evening she called me, Mama, I can't study this anymore. It's too much. My mind is breaking. I'm like, okay, your mind is breaking. Relax. So at this point also, even though she's studying, she does get her breakdowns. So yeah, you are right that it's a lot of studies and you have to be prepared for that struggle, but only you can decide if you want to do it or not. So what we have to do is, since we are talking about having a plan, or we all kind of make plans. By the way, I make my New Year plans every year. I decided when I came back from my holiday day before yesterday, I was going to have alcohol, but I still had wine yesterday because of my friends. I keep making my plans, so it's okay. I don't mind that. But yeah, if you're too rigid about plans, then you have to plan it. Like, okay, I'm going to commit 13 years of my life to study that hard if I want to become a doctor. But believe me, everything is possible if you think you can do it. So plan yourself well if you want to do it. Be more passionate about understanding whether you really want to do it, and if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. And believe me, as Priya very correctly said, that the whole world is a playground. When I went to US 4 years back, I met at a medical school just as I was to give a lecture, and I was in Stanford, and I met a student who was 55 years old. And he came to me afterwards, and we were talking about whatever my field of work. And so, as she said, I work with a lot of surrogate mothers, a lot of surrogacy. So I had a mother who got pregnant to breastfeed, which very few people in the world can do. So a pregnant, non-pregnant mother can breastfeed her baby, which is not relevant to story. So when I meet people who are 55 years old and who are still wanting to become a doctor, I feel that everything is possible if you decide you want to do it, you can do it. So understanding your own self and pushing your limits to achieve what you want to do is what all teenagers should do.
Okay, thank you. That's very good advice. So here are my thoughts. As a teenager, I can firmly say that the pressure to do well academically, socially, extracurricular-wise is increasing every year. And I would argue that it's actually increasing every day. Okay? So every day feels busier than the previous day, and I feel like I'm drowning in work sometimes. A road which doesn't end up getting done. I'm aspiring to go to a good university, as well as these days, universities demand more well-rounded students these days. You need to be good with both academics and extracurriculars, so naturally you don't have as much free time as you want. My cousin studies in the USA actually, and she knows kids who go to school, do extracurriculars until like 7 or 8 p.m., then study until 1, go to sleep, and wake up and do it all over again. So I completely understand the logic of wanting more free time, and I wish that the system wasn't so demanding, but hey, the harder we work, the better lives we are guaranteed for our future selves. So, okay, we're gonna go into like some more fun stuff now, okay? So, Supriya, have you noticed any quirky or interesting hobbies or interests that seem to be prevalent among kids today that you find particularly intriguing or entertaining?
Roblox. Yeah, what is that? That's not,
Video game.
It is a video game, I can't understand it. You like it?
See, I'm not animated.
I think that's a terrain people my generation should just not enter. It's not like how you tell children like don't come on social media. Children are telling don't come or not welcome here. No, but yeah, I think that's one thing. When TikTok was still a thing in India, yes, TikTok as well. I never thought kids would be on it, but they are. But yeah, I would say Roblox.
Okay, that's actually interesting because growing up I felt like everyone knew what Roblox is. So I am now proven wrong, which is kind of sad, but that's okay. What are your thoughts on like some of the interests that kids have these days?
I think a lot of every kid is putting content on social media or YouTube videos that are getting viral these days, and they want likes. They want keep on checking how many likes I got, how many comments I got, who's become my friend, who subscribed me. I think that's very addictive, and that is something that I think should be kind of very well monitored. Sanjana is not happy with my answer.
No, I am not because I feel exposed. Okay, was all the time, oh, who's followed me? Oh, is anyone liking my post? And it's like, but then I kind of gave up and I said, you know what, whatever. The people follow when they want to follow, you know. It's a phase that I think every content creator kind of grows out of, like when you realize how much work, how it actually is, and it's like, okay, what's my next post gonna be? Not so much, oh, how many followers have I gained in the last 2 seconds? Okay, so,
Let me add something. So it has become so addictive these days that people have just started feeling that the number of likes or the number of follows or the number of comments that I get is what is going to make my day or what is going to make my life. And because of that, there's so much of pressure. The pressure that you're talking about in academics and otherwise, there's a lot of pressure in the social media also, where people just want to come out with anything. And then people who idealize them, they don't know what is real. So, there's altogether a different bubble that is getting created where people think, or kids or youngsters think that this is what is real, and they are getting disconnected. So, an absolute balance is required, and I think parents need to put in a lot of effort in that.
thank you.
Advice to your parents.
They don't need it, okay? You're making my life harder. Okay. So, Dr. Zito, with the challenges and pressures faced by today's kids, what advice would you give to parents and educators in building resilience in the younger generation?
So the most important advice I think to all my parents in my routine practices, go back to your roots, right? I'm not saying don't use technology, but what I'm saying is let your children go out and play in the sand. Let your children go to nature. We all have, last week when I was in Singapore, and last time when my daughter studied, the second one is in Canada, there is this concept of farm to table, right? We all have heard that concept. So when you see that concept, you are spending like $100, $150 to have that farm. Recently, I was in Mahabaleshwar, where I stayed in a farm, and when I actually plucked the broccolis, I plucked the cabbages, and we cooked and we ate it ourselves. So the point is, when you teach your children to go back to the roots, they understand how things are grown, they understand how nature can feel, you increase the physical activity, because today's generation are so much into technology or the computer or the games that they only want to sit at home and play the game or maybe read a book at home, but they don't want to get out in the nature, they don't want to play. So I think playing is something which increases your skills. I'm sorry I'm at the lower school, Sanjana, but I can't help it. I feel playing, okay, so that doesn't matter if you're letting the child go and play a game, yeah, it's okay. Playing is important. Okay? What is important is let their minds think to play, which today's parents have absolutely forgotten to do this, right? And let the child not follow a 100% schedule. Give them some free time where they can think, they can be creative. Today's children needs to be more creative, so let the mind in them grow. And you have to give a lovely environment emotionally, and their behavior has to be balanced so that they grow as a flower in the environment where they are really growing.
So my parents were staring at me earlier when you were making all these comments, and now it's my turn to stare back at them. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree because even as a kid, since I think age 5, 4 maybe, no, since the beginning, I always had 1-2 hours at the playground every day until about age 12, I think. So it was 1 hour, 1.5 hours, or a few more hours during the holidays if we were lucky. It was me playing with other children, and that was always something that I looked forward to during the day. Because, it's more like getting out, having fun, just with other people who are similar in age. And yes, kids, please do go play because it's something you will regret not doing when you're older because I deeply miss it. I will definitely say that.
You can always restart when you can. There's no limitation to it. Even I go play outdoors.
I'm in high school.
So what? That's not balance, right? I never stop going out and playing.
Okay, I'll try. Okay, so I'm gonna test your knowledge really quick. What is your favorite Gen Z slang?
LOL. What? LOL. Like, what does that mean?
I think LOL is
LOL
actually
is-
millennial.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Delulu is the Sululu. That's my favorite Gen Z slang. Delulu is the Sululu, which means delusion is the solution. Which is what
Also, I think football.
FOMO is also millennial. I'm sorry, what do I
The millennial.
know? I'll tell you,
Oh,
I'll tell you another one that I don't understand, which is a Gen Z slang, is Riz.
It stands for charisma.
Yeah,
Charisma.
Riz. That is also chosen as the word in the Oxford Dictionary in 2023. Riz.
Riz.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So, I think this was last night actually. We had a full-on debate in my house among my Masi's, and like, they did not know what NGO stands for. Please tell me that someone in this crowd knows what NGO stands for.
The Gen Z here.
Does literally no one know? Okay. Does literally no one that's not Gen Z know? Okay.
Not
One
gonna
millennial.
lie, I know what NGO means.
Take the hint, okay? Okay, well, it appears that y'all are less knowledgeable than I thought. I'm disappointed. Okay, now to wrap things up, if you were able to give one advice to your younger self based on kids these days, what would it be? And do you think you would have listened?
Okay, going back and seeing what would have happened had I been in this environment is a little tough. I don't think so AI can also do that, but yeah, okay. But I think, giving one advice, I think a very balanced use of technology which we have today and going outdoors, like we were talking about today, also creating that environment both which is outdoor friendly as well as getting access to a lot of resources. I think that brings up a complete personality, and today's kids are kind of blessed with that. And it's just that an absolute balance is to be established. So I think if that will have to, that is my advice to the kids these days, that you have to enjoy everything. You have to enjoy reading, you have to enjoy going out, you have to enjoy social media. And whatever you're doing, just do it for, fun. Don't take yourself so seriously, because there's so many things that are going to come in life where you will need serious approach. So have fun, enjoy every moment. So yeah, that's what I think.
Do you think you would have listened?
That I said AI could also tell.
So I thought you asked the question of what we want to change about our life. Right? That's what you asked?
No. If you would give one advice to your younger self.
Yourself. Okay. So I would give that advice to my younger self that I wish I would have had fun, because I was a very studious child and I studied a lot.
I mean, you're a doctor now.
Yeah, I am. But I'm having that part of fun now, so I'm trying to compensate with whatever best I can.
To my younger self, one piece of advice I would like to give her is that don't hide away, don't shy away, do things that you want to without fear, because your childhood is to be lived with abandon, and have as many experiences as you can, and don't worry about what people will say, if someone is going to laugh at you or make fun of you. They will do that regardless of who you are. So accept that, but don't stop yourself from doing things that give you joy, and also I'm very happy that you read so much, and that has helped me a lot today. And just be yourself with abandon. I think that is my advice to my.
Okay, so I don't know how I can give an advice to my younger self, because I don't think I'm that old yet. But I would just say, just heads up, things are going to get bigger than writing picture books. Okay? So here's a final thought. Parents, allow and encourage your kids to think for themselves and explore their own interests. Also, stop with the whole "when I was your age" thing. We get it. Okay? And kids, listen to your parents and their advice, because at the end of the day, they did life without Google. Thank you.
in the spirit of celebrating his diverse perspectives and experiences we've just unfolded on the stage, I'd like to ask you, Sanjana, to present each of our panelists with a very own copy of your book. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, as they unveil their copies, I'd like you to give them a round of applause. Let me tell you a little bit about the book as they do so. The protagonist, Kalki's character, deeply resonates with today's theme of kids these days. Adults might have a lot of things to say about today's generation, but one thing they cannot deny is that kids these days are vocal. They are vocal about what they believe in, their dreams, and work hard to achieve it. Kalki, like many kids these days, stood up for her dream and worked hard to achieve it. We hope all the kids here today, like Kalki, get inspired to achieve what the world makes you think is impossible.
You could all please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sanjana.
Thank you.
So all the kids out here, get this book, read it, and start reading more. Start writing your own book so you can invite us again for another conversation in your book launches.
I will register myself as a panelist. Thank you very much. I would like to be a part of these discussions.
Okay, what an incredible journey we've had with our distinguished panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you, Supriya. Thank you, Dr. Zena. And thank you, Ekta, for being here. Okay, now as we transition into the next segment, get ready for an engaging Q&A session with our very own author, Sanjana Kanamarlapudi. And to lead this, we have the CEO of our publishing house, External Publishing, Sanjana Kanamarlapudi.
Congratulations, a big round of applause for Sanjana. Well done.
A content design and publishing studio specializing in self-publishing, Stonal offers a range of services from editing to design for both ebooks and print. Our books include the Healthy Baking series, Parenting Pickles and Popsicles by Shravani Maniar, with a foreword by Samira Reddy, the artist opening speeches by Dr. Jasakija, and many more. At Stonal, we're all about giving each story the attention that it deserves, making sure each tale finds its own voice. Stonal is where every story finds a home. Through our carefully crafted publications, we aim to unlock uncharted possibilities and bring communities together. Thank you, and on to you guys.
Thanks, Arya. Well done, Sanjana. How does it feel?
This is my first time doing something like this. I was supposed to do something like this last year or earlier this year, but my body decided to contract one of the worst flu sicknesses I've ever had in my life. So that ended well. Yeah, I'm very happy that this went well.
Great. So, for those of you who don't know, she's 14 years old. She's published 9 books, including the current one, 330%. And that makes me curious. Absolutely, that makes me curious, Sanjana. What got you started on your authorship journey? What inspires you to put together books? You put together children's books first. This is your first attempt at a novella, where you've written an out-and-out fiction story. So, what got you started on this journey? How's it been?
From a very young age, and I'm talking very young, I had a given passion for writing. I'd say age 5, I started writing my first stories. And I think what really solidified for me was actually meeting Jeff Kinney, who, if you all don't know, is the author of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. My primary school had him come, and ironically, I was actually the first student he ever signed a book for at my school, so I would like to flex that. And yeah, I remember telling him for the 30 seconds that I had face-to-face discussion with him that I also am going to publish a book. And hey, here we are. So, yeah.
I think that's
the best example of manifesting your dreams. You put your message out into the universe and the universe will make it happen. So all the kids out here who've got an imagination that goes really wild and who've been thinking of putting their stories to paper, start thinking about publishing books. You may be the next one sitting here. Sanjana, school and books. Okay, that's like a tough combination. You've got your homework, you've got your projects, you've got assignments, you've got a passion for writing books. How do you manage it all?
I will be completely honest, that is not the best question to ask me at this moment in time. I just entered high school, I would say, 4 months ago, and I feel like I'm dying because I don't know how I'm managing it. Yeah, so in general, I would say that consistency has to be kept as much as possible. You don't have to write like 50 chapters in a day. That's just not exactly how writing works, especially when you have a larger workload. 30 minutes a day, sit down, write if you can. If you can't, then maybe you just think about where it could go forward. Yeah.
So your current story, the novella, is about a young girl. She's a prodigy. She is pushing herself, pushing her boundaries, and she's achieving the impossible for herself. What inspired you to take up this particular narrative? If you could share a little bit more about the book without giving it away, because we want everyone to read the book. But what inspired you to pick up this storyline?
Okay, so I feel like, so firstly, one of my mossies is here. The other one is back at home, but I'd like to thank both of them because they were really the first people who told me about some of the struggles that young girls face in some smaller cities and how some traditional views actually limit them from getting an education, from being their best selves. And I feel like I just thought about it and I said, that's hard, that's tough. I'm fortunate. I have very supportive family who, honestly, they would kill me if I decided not to study. So, I'm grateful for having that, but there are kids who don't have that. There are many young girls who don't have that. And so I wanted to kind of write a story from the way I saw it and how I imagined it would happen. Because I think I started writing the book when I was around 12 years old, I think. So I think that coming from someone that age, it would be kind of valuable.
I think that's interesting. That's something I was going to ask you, that your parents have played a big role in supporting you in this journey. So kudos to Lakshman and Sanjana as well for being supportive of Sanjana. I think that's what all kids really want, support, and they can really bloom and blossom. Writing in a book is one side of the story, putting down together your thoughts and coming up with a story. But there is more to it than just the writing, right? As you've experienced. So do you want to share a little bit more about your experience with publishing as a process?
Okay, again, to be completely honest, in terms of after writing, what I feel like all authors kind of feel this is a very emotional connection with characters and the narrative and the story. And it just makes you feel proud when it's finally ready for publishing. Now, in terms of the publishing process, I want to thank Sonia. Thank you. You made it happen. You made this novella happen. But I would also like to thank my mom and dad again, because actually my mom is the one that does most of the work publishing-wise since I'm on Kindle. So maybe I'll ask her to show me someday and I'll post it on Instagram.
Okay, and what advice would you give to the young writers, potential authors sitting here in the audience on how they can also start on this journey, and what is it that they can do to really get started on this journey?
If you ask me, the moment you can write sentences, form a story in your head, and learn how to type on a laptop, you can write a book. Okay, that's how I do it. So just know that there's no physical age limit on Kindle that is like, oh, you can't have anyone publish if they're younger than 18 or 16 or whatever. That doesn't exist. It's more of just society thinking that a child can't really do it. So just prove society wrong is all I can say.
I think that's valuable advice. Just get started. And Any future projects in the pipeline, Sanjana? Can we expect some more books from you in the future?
I mean, definitely, I don't plan on stopping. I mean, it's gone so well, I don't plan on giving it up. I would say I have maybe 1 or 2 ideas in the work. I don't know how much of it I can spoil, but let's just say that the new things being introduced into the world today definitely inspire a lot, and I hope to do a bit of maybe dystopian.
Wonderful. At this point, if the audience would like to ask any questions to Sanjana, please just raise your hand and we are opening the floor to questions from the audience. Anyone?
I'll ask a question. So Sanjana, since I read your book and I thoroughly enjoyed it, coming from a child's perspective, this is absolutely a a brilliant take on what's happening today, and also kind of talks about a lot of misogyny that exists. So when you talk about writing your next novel, which is going to be dystopian, so I mean, are we thinking that don't we think that dystopian and present has kind of gotten mixed these days?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, did anyone here expect that we'd be seeing ChatGPT in 2023? Like, let's be honest, we thought that that's something maybe 5-10 years down the line, but it happened more quickly than we realized. So I feel like the future and the present is going to start getting mixed up more. I guess it kind of has already with AI. But yeah, I definitely.
Thank you, Sanjana. Thank you for all those wonderful insights. Thank you for writing 330. And I think a big round of applause for Sanjana. Thank you to the wonderful audience who've been here and supported her journey. And thank you to all the panelists who spent their time here today. Thank you to Steve Sonal for taking this event forward and handling it successfully. Thanks, MuSo, for giving us this platform. It was wonderful being here. Do go ahead and enjoy MuSo and the rest of the facilities, because trust me when she said that we enjoyed more than the kids, that's an understatement. I really do want to go back up and enjoy the rest of the facilities. Thank you.
I hope you guys had a good time. I would like to make a few announcements. If you guys want to stay back and get your copies signed, Sanjana will be doing it right here, so you can do that. Also, there's refreshments at the Subco Cafe, so if you are hungry, you can go down and buy your own food. Also, you guys will have to return your green bags downstairs when you leave. That's it. I hope you guys have a good afternoon.